Rhodri.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at?
It's opinions. I respect your opinions. Maybe in your opinion Messi is better than me, but in my mind I'm better than him.
I do it again.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh, you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh, you matter what. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what. Told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go add up. Like scars, I was cold hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just hit the money and go stack up. Only buy car cards and get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh, you matter what. Add it up,
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of Rhodri Giggs on football. Happy New Year. It's 2023. First show of the year. We've had a little break. I've been ill for about a year, it seems like. Family's been ill, but it's all good. We're back. We've got so much to talk about football-wise. I've got some hot takes today, so I'm either gonna get ridiculed or people are going to get on board with my hot takes. People probably won't like some of them, but there we go. That's what it's about. It's all about opinions. Just while we wait for the late comers, as it were, a little Super 6 update for our charity Super 6 and Prediction League. In our last update, before we broke up for Christmas, Rhodri had forgotten his predictions. I had a meager 10-point lead. I was very professional, very subtle about it. I didn't want to make it worse. So, how have we done since then? Well, Rhodri is a total score of 187 points, but I am triumphantly, no less unbelievably, tremendously, stupendously on 210 points, which has increased my lead, doubled my lead and then some to 23 points. Rhodri has well and truly bottled it. He's done a Kevin Keegan. He's gone too soon. It's all over.
It's not even halfway yet.
I know, mate. It's funny, though, isn't it?
Need to cool the jets a bit.
But I want to give a big shout out to Cardiff City legend Cohen Griffith. He's managed to stay top of the main league all over Christmas. Got an impressive 277 points, and he turned 60 over Christmas. So happy birthday to Cohen. And all you need to, I'm coming for you, Cohen. I've only got like 67 points to make up on you by the end of the season. Easy work. The form I'm in. It's been unreal. But next round, 3:00 Saturday. Don't forget. Let's see how the next round goes. We'll do our predictions at the end of today's show. But as you can hear, I am joined by ex-Salford City, ex-FC United, and of course, ex-Bangor City winger, Mr. Rhodri Giggs. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, good. And finally, feel all right again. And I've been itching to get stuck in tonight. Did you have a good Christmas and all that malarkey?
Yeah, it was all right. It's quiet. I had a bit of a toothache, so I was on antibiotics and I couldn't drink.
Yeah, we didn't even, literally, we normally got my in-laws on Christmas Day and stuff, and on the Wednesday before Christmas Day, all 5 of us were still ill, and it was just we're gonna have to just call it and just sort of leave it. But because it was so late in the day, we didn't have no Christmas food or nothing in, and there was not a lot left in the shops and stuff. So I think Christmas Day we had a curry or something at ours, and it was really weird. First year in my 40 years on the planet, I have never had a Christmas dinner over the whole of Christmas. But it's only been the last couple of days where we've been feeling all right, and got up and been out and about and getting back to it. It's just been one of them things, just wouldn't shift. 6 weeks, 4 weeks. Well, I had it 4 weeks, my missus 6, and the boys were all pretty much the same as well. So brutal. But there we go. Let's get on to the good stuff, mate. There's obviously lots and lots to discuss. We'll get to your club, who are having continuing their fine form, but not just the form, their performances, I think, have been very impressive. And we'll have a little talk about that. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, first of all, about some other clubs in the Premier League and managers, as it were. So first question, has Antonio Conte already had enough of Daniel Levy? And do you see him seeing out his contract at Spurs?
Yes and no.
Yes, he's had enough of him, but no, you don't see him seeing out the contract. Is it?
Do I see him? I actually do. I just don't see him renewing it. They're not going to give him what he wants, are they?
No.
And he's a manager. He's like Mourinho. If you give him what he wants, he'll produce trophies. We've seen that over in the past. So yeah, I just it's a tough one. But I don't see him staying there because they don't fork out. And will Harry Kane stay there? He's got a year left after this year. Will they keep him? Or will you think Daniel Levy's got a decision to make? Will he keep him for a year and let him go for free, or will he get rid of him with a year left? So he'll only be 30, so he's still got 2, 3, 4 years, good years left. He's not the quickest, but he scores goals. So
I think he's shown with England as well, Harry Kane, that he can adapt his game a bit as well. He can play like a number 10 role almost when he gets older and still do a pretty good job. Like, I was very impressed. And as you know, I'm not the biggest Harry Kane fan. I don't rate him up there with the Lewandowskis and the Mbappes and the people like this. But what I was really impressed by in the World Cup was his passing range. Like, I thought he was really clever with England, whether it was coming deep and just little flicks around the corner for the runners or spreading the ball out wide. Just thought he showed that he had a bit about him, bit of a football mind, which I think is good. But he's bagged a few goals for Spurs, so he's obviously hasn't been too affected by missing that penalty, which sent England out. But for me, if he wants to win trophies, which he obviously does, I think at the end of this contract, or like you say in the summer, he's going to have to go, because Daniel Levy's never going to give a manager like a Conte or Mourinho the money they want and the backing they want to go and play the way they want and then in turn win trophies. And then on the other hand, unless he can get someone like when he had Pochettino who can do it, with a bit of wheeling and dealing, but also is pretty tactically sound, I just can't see Spurs being up there, especially when you look at the teams now. Like, Arsenal look like they've got a really balanced, strong squad. Newcastle have got all the money in the world, but they're already up there at this moment in time, just after Christmas. Man City, we know about them. Liverpool, you'd expect to get themselves in order. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And again, like I said, United have been impressive already under Ten Hag. And if they get new owners who can then back him in the transfer market, you'd expect them to go even further. So suddenly Spurs really look under pressure. You struggle to see how they're going to compete with those teams because they're never going to spend the same amount of money. So then it's all about getting the right manager. And is Conte the right manager if you are not going to give him money, basically, is the question. And I don't know if he is.
But he's not going to stay there if you're not going to give him what he wants. That's pretty plain, that. He's not going to mess about.
He made that clear the other day, didn't he?
It's going to be a big summer for Tottenham. A lot of decisions to make. Will there be a new manager going? Harry Kane, like I've just mentioned, only got a year left. So yeah, they've spent a little bit of money. Richarlison, but he picked up a few injuries. Kulicheski or whatever his name is, he's decent, but he's not been playing. So
even Son, mate, I think
not been great, has he, this year?
Yeah, but you'd expect him. Like, he's shown pretty consistent form.
He's still a very good player. So.
But again, these players, mate, they got to ask the questions, haven't they? If they want to win trophies, it's like, when do you draw the line? Do you just keep sticking out with this club and you keep going and going, and then suddenly you're 32 and the big clubs don't want to touch you because they've classed you as too old, or you haven't got a resale value.
And he's going to leave. This is the time to leave. If he doesn't leave here, then he's going to see out his career in Tottenham, and then probably see out his career being potless. So I'd expect him to move.
Yeah, and I think Daniel Levy would be reluctant to let him go for free. He's a businessman at the end of the day, so he's sell him or sign a new contract, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like on that, on the sort of managerial front still, I saw an interesting conversation between some Liverpool fans on social media over the weekend. Liverpool have been very hit and miss this year. Obviously, they've signed Gakpo, so you'd expect him to have a bit of an impact. But do you think we are are we in the process of seeing an end of an era under Klopp and Liverpool? Like, do you think this is the beginning of him leaving? Not saying he's going to leave immediately, but is this the sort of start of the end of that relationship, do you think?
I think it could be, yeah. I think it could be. And I say that because they've got a lot of old players. Henderson's getting on now. Milner's getting on now. I'm hearing Van Dijk won't be there for much longer.
He's got some fitness problems as well, haven't he? Like long-term hamstring issue.
I just think he's getting bored. I think he's getting bored now. He just wants a new challenge. That's what it looks like. He's just like going through the motions, but that could be wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him go like to a Barcelona or Madrid or something, just to experience that side of things.
I would more, yeah, someone like that, or A.C. Milan or Bayern Munich. Yeah. So, but yeah, they've got a big and the players that they've got, like Harvey Elliott, Thiago,
Fabinho as well.
There's another kid there as well that's small and petite. They're not the biggest.
Do you reckon though? Like, you mentioned the players which are aging. They're still big players for them. Like,
oh yeah, they are still big players.
In the big games, they still turn to those players, and I think
it's not the big games you're worrying about. It's the games in between. You know, the Brightons, the Brentfords, the West Hams, these kind of teams.
Which a couple of years ago they were brushing aside, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So, and now they're not. So, because they've had a few injuries. Diaz is out. Firmino's been out for a bit. They've had some injuries, but you'd expect them to cope with that. But just this year, they're still they're still fifth or sixth.
Yeah, so they look so inconsistent compared to the teams around them.
They do, but they can still take points off the top teams. So
yeah,
I won't count them out just yet.
I was surprised to see, like a few Liverpool fans sort of saying, at the end of this season they wouldn't be disappointed if they kind of shook hands and Klopp left. Like I was surprised by that.
See, I disagree with that. He's earned the right to if he wants to be given the time to build another team. That's what you've got to do.
Yes.
So Ferguson went through some bad time. Not to say bad time. They still finished second, or I think the lowest they finished it in. Especially when Ryan was there, I think the lowest they finished were third. So.
He kept rebuilding sides.
He kept rebuilding, but he still didn't get lower than third. So, it's still a long way off yet. Like I say, he's not even halfway yet. And that Darwin Núñez, I'm pretty sure he'll come strong in, because when you're getting all them chances and his pace, I think he'll come good. It's just a time process with him. But it's the other things around him need to sort out.
Yeah, fans want instant success.
Exactly. Everyone's getting stronger. Arsenal getting stronger. City, obviously, City. Chelsea will get stronger. United are getting stronger. So, Newcastle now entering the frame. We're having a strong team, a good manager, and an endless pot of money. So, it's good.
Interesting. James Costley says Liverpool fans would have taken what he won beforehand without a doubt. An extra Champions League, first Premier League title. They'd have jumped to that right away. But for me, it's like, all right, say Liverpool decide he's taken us as far as they can. Who are they going to bring in that's better than Klopp? Yeah. Honestly, like there's nobody out there on his level.
I just don't understand why you'd move on from him. Why?
No,
why? Because
move the players on.
Yeah, it's just it's natural. It's just, you've got the thing is with Ferguson, he's seen it, so he kind of he always had that good blend.
Well, the one thing he always used to do is whenever he'd win a Premier League or a Champions League or whatever, that was when they'd spend more money. Yeah. It was when they won something. When they when they didn't win a trophy, which was rare under Ferguson, in fairness, that was when they didn't tend to spend as much. Like it was quite interesting. Yeah. Do you think there's any way Liverpool miss out on top four this year? Because I think it's a danger now. They are 7 points behind United in fourth, and Newcastle in third because they're on the same point.
I still think they'll finish fourth. I don't think Newcastle will finish fourth. I don't. So you don't
think Newcastle will get top four? That's interesting to me because Newcastle are just their form is unreal.
It is, but everyone has a dip, and they haven't had one yet. Everyone has a dip. Everyone.
Here's my next question: when are Arsenal going to shit the bed? Because they always do, but they don't look like doing it at the moment. Although Arteta lost the plot the other night.
They did it this week. They dropped 2 points at home against Newcastle.
What interested me more about that?
Now they've got Chelsea, United, City, all coming up the next 4 or 5 games. That's all they've got. So, and United have got City next. I think they've got Arsenal, they've got Chelsea. So, there's some points are going to be took off each other. But whoever comes out that, if they come through that Arsenal, then I'll be very impressed. But they have got the next 4 games. Can you get it up?
Yeah, I'll get it up now. But like, do you know? Because I've been waiting for them because they always do. You know, they always. Whenever they've done well over recent years, they just come to a point where they just completely lose the plot and it goes all horribly wrong, doesn't it? And I've been waiting for it. So their next league game, Sunday 15th of January, Tottenham. Then the following Sunday they've got United, Everton, Brentford, Man City, Villa, Leicester. So there's a lot of winnable games there, but they play Tottenham, Man City, United. It's interesting, but another thing which interested me about that game against Newcastle was that Arteta lost the plot. So I was looking at that.
He always gets like that in games. He needs to just relax. He gets too hyper.
But do you think that was because of who the opponents were that he got so worried?
No, I think he's like that every game. Obviously, Newcastle are in the mix, so it gives that added little bit of spice. But the way he acts, he's just like, mate, relax. You're just like an absolute Duracell bunny on the line. Just chill out.
Yeah. I think the Premier League, mate, is fascinating this year because City are just very up. Like City will go and win 3-4 in a row, and then they'll lose a couple, lose one, draw one.
You know, when it comes to the crunch, City can win 15 games in a row.
You say that, but they haven't put together a run like that yet this year.
No, they haven't. But
we're halfway.
When it comes to the end of the season, right? This is what we need, and everyone zones in. That's what they've done the last 2 seasons. With Liverpool on the case. They've had to win the last 12 or 13 games, and they've done it. So they can do that. They've done it. Can other teams do that? I don't know.
So a friend of mine is a United fan, and he asked me to ask you this. He says he is adamant that if United can take 4 points from City and Arsenal, which is their next 2 league games, he says that United could challenge for the title this year. I think this year will be too soon, but he kind of, the way he looks at it is he said, look at what Ten Hag has done already. By the end of the season, they should be even more kind of bought into his tactics. They should be utilising his tactics more. Every single player in the squad has improved in it under him, including players who look like they were on their way out, like Wan-Bissaka. Like I actually think Wan-Bissaka will still go in January, but you can't deny that he's come back in the side and played really well. The problem they might have with those two big games before they play in that, they've got a League Cup quarterfinal and an FA Cup third round, where they're going to have to rest players, but
and
also we want to keep the momentum.
They've got Carabao Cup in there as well.
Yeah. So they got Charlton in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, and they've got the FA Cup against Everton, which I'm sure they'll rotate. But also, Ten Hag will want to keep that momentum going because there's a feel-good factor. I have been very, very impressed with how quickly, since that Brentford game, when it's almost like Ten Hag, he gave all Maguire, Ronaldo, whoever, all these players a chance at the start of the season. And then that Brentford game, he's gone, right, you've had your chance. And he got Casemiro in within 48 hours of that game. And since that game, you've seen a very different way of playing. You've seen him take out you've seen his discipline, the discipline side of it. He's taken no mess in from players. If they're late for meetings, like Rashford the other day, dropped. Ronaldo done that stupid interview, gone. Like whoever you are, or Garnacho, the youngster, he had a problem at the start of the year with his attitude, so he didn't play. So it doesn't matter if you're a youngster or you're Ronaldo. Everybody has got to do as Ten Hag says, or you don't, you're out. And that is a very Fergie way of thinking. And I've been impressed with how he's handled all the bullshit off the pitch, but more so the way they have improved on the pitch. I don't think that there's any way United win the Premier League this year. However, especially if they get new owners by April time, I saw some people saying the other day, if they've got new owners in by the summer and they finish third or fourth, I think they could compete next year because I think the basis is there. Casemiro, excellent. What a signing he has been. He has been the difference maker for me. But then, do you know what, mate? Sorry. Going on about Nunes from Liverpool, I've seen a few United fans moaning about Anthony. And it's like the guy is obviously doesn't speak a lot of English, has come over from the Dutch league, is Brazilian. I think he's 21 or 22. Like, of course he's going to have a bit of trouble adapting. And, like, I don't think he's been terrible, but I don't think he's been, unbelievable either. But are you surprised that there's some social media fans slagging him off already?
No, not really. That's not his fault, it's really. It's the price tag, but the manager knows him better than anyone. So, I'm not worried about it at all. He's obviously, if he's not been playing well, he's dropped him. So, and he's got good competition in them areas. You've got Rashford now. Garnacho's come into the scene. Martial can play there. Got Sancho working away in the back scenes, and then obviously Anthony, Bruno can play there. Elanga. So they've got good options. So if he's not performing, he won't play. So and he's been sticking with him. He's had a good start, but he's tailed off a bit. But that's normal. That some players hit the ground running. It does remind you a bit of Ronaldo when he turned up. A bit of a show pony, and you just got to kick it out of him.
Yeah. So with the question my mate put is, do you think there's any way United could win the league this year under Ten Hag?
Yeah, I do. It's possible. It is possible because I only say that because if City keep on this trend of not doing what they're doing, if City get their act together, then no chance. Yeah. But if City continue to do this, then it could
opens it up, doesn't it?
It could get exciting, yeah. But I still think we'll be a little bit short because we haven't got that centre forward.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Will asks, do you think Fernandes ups his game a bit more now Ronaldo's gone? I think there's something to be said for it.
I think the stats show that, don't they? So I don't think it's just, I just don't know. But just obviously, listen, some players don't fit, and some do. You know, when Dwight York and Andy Cole come, it looked like they've been playing together for years. They only just met. So sometimes it clicks and sometimes it doesn't. And this is obviously one of them part. They obviously still putting out high performances, but you know, the assists, the goals, it's there to see. He obviously performs better without him, and it's probably the better option because he's a younger. He's more or less captain every week now when Maguire doesn't play.
United look a different
he's a real United player as well, Bruno. He's a real United player. He does wind me up a bit because he's always whinging and moaning. If I played with him, then he would get told straight. But because all that waving in the air,
but it's because he wants it, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand that. But you know, I don't do it when you don't pass the ball, and no one else does it. Why are you doing it? It do me. It's happened to me before, and I end up. What I end up doing is doing the same to them, but I do it on acid, on like double fold, so I'll be over the top with it.
Yeah.
And they'll say, "Why?" I'm just treating you the way you treating me. You stop doing it, and then I'll stop doing it, and eventually you stop doing it. So that's how I dealt. That's how I dealt with it. It really does me head in. There's no need to do it.
Yeah, I think United look an absolute different side with Fernandes. Whenever Fernandes is on the bench, I do think there's a little bit less creativity in that area. But on the other hand of that, I said to you after the game the other day, Casemiro for me he's
average. He's a steady, isn't he?
Yeah, he's world class CDM, mate. Right, that's what he's there for. But he's actually a phenomenal box-to-box midfielder. Like, I've been watching him closely, like in the World Cup and over these couple of games since they've been back. And he is, like, when he pushes forward, he's got vision, speed, strength. He's really, really clever footballer. And
name me a player who's got 5 champions. Name me a steady Eddie who's got 5 Champions League medals. It's just a joke.
Mate. Since you said on this show that Luke Shaw was finished at United, he's turned into prime Maldini. He's been phenomenal, mate.
You knew this. He had this in him.
Yeah, he did it a couple of years ago, didn't he? But I think I'd argue he's better at the moment.
And I did say, you know, the competition might spark him up again like it did last time, and it has done. So
it's been phenomenal, mate.
You can't beat healthy competition in your own team. You just can't.
Yeah, you've got to have it, mate, because players just get bad attitude and they just
ups your game. If you go the other way, then you're out the door. You just got to suck it up and knuckle down, and that's what he's done. And fair play to him because he's been brilliant.
Do you know? It's interesting, right? Is Harry Maguire, England's first choice centre back?
1 minute. How have you highlighted the one thing that I got? How do you highlight all the things that I get right?
It's because do you know why I remember it? Is one because I've always been quite a big proponent of Luke Shaw, but also it's because I clipped it, so I just know. I just remember because I clipped that particular thing. Looking for the clip, mate. See,
clip that. Have that.
Yes. But Harry Maguire, mate, first choice England defender, first defender on a team sheet for England, pretty good in the World Cup. But I would argue he's now Ten Hag's 5th choice centre back because he's shown that he would pick Luke Shaw. He picked Luke Shaw ahead of him.
Yeah, no, I only think he picked Luke Shaw because Maguire was ill, and then
he was on the bench. He was back.
And then he played him again, didn't he?
So if it was just a one game, I would agree. But he played him 2 games, and then when they rotated everyone.
We're not privileged to what the conversation was. He might still have been in the field a bit roping. You know what? We're not privileged to the conversation they've had. So you would expect Maguire to play, but
all right. And if you were picking the team,
he was probably so impressed with Luke Shaw. We'll play there again, and the speed it matches better with who they're playing against. Has the kid who we're playing against got speed? We don't want to have Maguire come back so confident and put him against someone who's going to knock his confidence. Then we're back to square one again. So it might be good management. Then the next game he plays and we win 3-0.
But then do you know there was a couple of little things he did though, mate. There was one he tried to pass it like first time out and he hit it out for a corner. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I see it. But
He's nervous, mate, isn't he? You can see that he's nervous.
He's just trying to play. Sometimes you get it wrong. They're not they're not robots. These players, you know, they're going to get it wrong. So
all right, then I'll put it this way:
it was just unfortunate, but you know, clean sheet, 3-0, happy days.
Do you think he goes in the summer, Maguire?
Possibly.
So Man City game. We'll skip the cup games. Man City game, 12:30, Saturday the 14th, right? United got to get a good result.
Where's it at, City or United?
It's at United, but Martinez is injured. Varane is ill.
Martinez is injured? What do you mean?
I'm saying, so if Varane and Martinez are unavailable, who would your centre-back pairing be against Haaland? Strong, quick.
Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire.
Interesting. So you'd pick Maguire over Lindelof?
Yes, 100%.
Against Haaland, yeah? Would you pick the same against the Arsenal striker? I forget his name now. But
Nikita.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stick with that same two.
Interesting. I think you've got
the left footer with Shaw to balance it out. Then you've got a right foot on the right side and left foot on the left side. Nice balance. And you've seen Luke Shaw. He had his cigar out the other day, and he's probably seen the record passes of a player in a game. So
that ball, he's for the one Rashford goal when it went. Fernandes knocked it across. What a ball that was!
Yeah, you know, when you're playing well, confidence. It's amazing when you've got confidence as a player. When you lack confidence, it's a nightmare. But when you've got confidence, nothing can go wrong. You try everything.
Oh, we'll talk about confidence now when we talk about Cardiff. But I want to just to finish on United. Do you think Luke Shaw? Obviously, I think he's about 29 now. Do you think his future is at centre back as he gets older?
Yeah, possibly.
I was surprised how comfortable. I know he's done it in a 3 before.
It's very, very easy centre half. Playing centre half. It's very, very.
Centre halves are screaming at you now.
No, but it is. It's the most easiest position in the world. It is. Unless you've got a real busy centre forward, it is. Yeah. It's I'd say it's the easiest.
Okay.
I really would. Midfielder, you've got to be up all over the gaff. Winger, full back. I just think centre half is just absolute cigar territory.
Do you know?
That's why people, when they retire or centre forwards, or they go back and play centre half, because it's that cigars out. Yeah, there you go. Pass the ball. Go on, mate. There you go.
Do you know what I find interesting, mate? Right, is
especially United as well, when they got the high press and the constantly, and you very rarely get the ball.
But the centre backs. I think that's why Maguire struggles, is because if you look at all the other centre backs, including Shaw, they can all pass the ball quite well. Like Lindelof's got a real good pass in him, whereas Maguire, I think he hasn't got that.
I disagree. I disagree.
No, he can pass. I'm not saying he's a donkey, but the quality that the other 3 or 4 can pull out compared to him, I think that would appeal to Ten Hag, as opposed to Maguire sometimes under pressure. And I don't know. I just don't. For me, I think all 4 of the other centre backs offer more for the way they want to play. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that Luke Shaw is a better centre back than Harry Maguire.
I disagree, because I disagree. I wouldn't have him behind Lindelof. I'd have him in front of Lindelof. I've watched Lindelof for years. In the big games, he's a clanger. He makes clangers.
Yeah, he has got
big games.
Yeah. Their first choice back 4, though, mate, looks real good. And De Gea's in good form.
You've got a World Cup winner. You got 2 World
Cup winners.
Yeah,
and then Luke Shaw and. Who's your right? With Dallo, you're still first choice right back.
Either of them. If they keep on playing like that, then you can go with either of them. That's what you want. Both of them to be playing like that. So
competition, mate.
Yeah, like I said, healthy competition.
Last question on United. I saw that
now Dalot's hard. It's harder for him to get back in the Manchester.
Yeah, he's got to work for it.
There you go. Look, how can I drop him? He's been playing well, and he's got no arguments.
They got a couple of cup games, haven't they? So they'll probably play one each, I would have thought.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless they bring in a youngster.
And that's what you want. That's what you want. That's where you win leagues,
win
cups, and win multiple cups. Having a good squad that you can put players in, and you don't miss a beat.
100%, mate. Last question on United was, I noticed they extend, like you get the auto extensions where they can just add a year on, so they can basically negotiate they negotiate the deal, don't they? They add a year on and then negotiate the new contract. But the only one they left off, I think they did Rashford's and they did Fred's, and a couple, I think Darrow's. So they automatically extended for a year. They're negotiating their extensions, blah blah blah. But the only one they didn't do was De Gea's. Now, obviously, there was rumours that De Gea was going to go because he was on so much money, and Ten Hag perhaps, he didn't fancy him in some aspects of his goalkeeping. To me, and certainly from what De Gea said this week, that man wants to stay at United, finish his career. Do you reckon United just want him to take a pay cut, basically, and that's why they haven't auto-extended it?
Who?
De Gea.
He is on a big contract, isn't he?
Massive money.
I think it's like 350 grand.
Yeah, he's just under 400 grand. I think.
No, I've just heard him spouting. He loves the club. This is my club. Blah blah blah. So take 200 grand. Take 200 grand there.
Yeah, no. Oh, mate, but it's cost
of
living.
See how much you love the club.
Cost of living, though, mate. Isn't it? You don't know. How can he live on 200 grand a week, mate?
800 grand a month is a shocker.
Absolutely.
Well, you got
a week,
to
mate.
take 40%. You've got to take 40% off that. So he's left with $500,000 a month.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah,
it's a hard life, isn't it? Speaking of a hard life, mate, it's a hard life being a Cardiff City fan at the moment. So, to my shock and horror, look, I love Neil Warnock. I loved him before he came to Cardiff. I thought he's a proper old school manager. It's the type of football guy that when I was younger was prominent in football, and I love the character. He did a tremendous job at Cardiff City. He saved us from relegation, nearly took us up. I got a lot of respect for him. I got a lot of time. I know a lot of people who know him say he's a lovely guy. Got so much respect for him. Didn't enjoy his football whatsoever. He's very pragmatic and didn't do much with the youngsters. And some reputable journalists were giving it the Cardiff have had enough of Mark Hudson, and Warnock's going to come back till the end of the season, mate. And to me, that is comical, disastrous, and embarrassing.
Is that what's happening, really?
It looks like it. So I assumed at first, when I first saw the headline or the guy talking, I assumed they were going to bring him in to help Mark Hudson. See, I thought like director of football or some shit. But they're actually on about replacing Hudson. And I get, like, Hudson's not doing...
They just signed a contract at the end of the season.
He has. But when Vincent Tan, in his rare interview, said they've given him a contract, he said he's got a contract till the end of the season unless he does badly. Now, we haven't scored a goal for about 20 years. We are awful. It is painful to watch. But I would rather go down with Mark Hudson than bring in Neil Warnock. And there's nothing really to do with Neil Warnock. There's got to be a change at the top of the football club. And I just think the only way that change is going to come is if we go down. Of course, I don't want us to get relegated, but I just cannot see these people leaving the football club unless we go down. There's so many other managers I would rather bring in than if they're going to get rid of Hudson, fine, whatever. They had
a choice.
Nathan Jones is going to get sacked from Southampton soon. Bring him in.
They could have had a Michael Carrick, for instance. Look what he's done to Middlesbrough.
Well, mate, they could have had Nathan Jones when he left Luton. He left Luton to go to Southampton. If they'd got in there before Southampton, Nathan Jones would have come. He's a Cardiff fan. You think you'd
have turned down the Premier League to Cardiff?
No, but when we were looking for a manager, it was before Southampton. They still had their manager. It was just as always, Cardiff are very reactive instead of proactive. They wait until the shit hits the fan, then do something, rather than thinking, "Well, this isn't going well.
I'd be
if we
looking
have
at
to get rid of Hudson,
Would
who
you
do
really
we
want
get?
to go for this Cardiff place? I won't be here 6 months. This chairman's trigger happy.
Oh, mate, it's not even just that. He's trigger happy. The atmosphere is toxic as hell. Above, like, away from the team, like in the boardroom level, it's toxic as hell. There's no money to spend whatsoever. We got a transfer embargo, so we can only get in frees anyway. And the crowds are getting lower and lower because people have had enough of the board. Is like, why would anyone want to come here? So that's why I think they're looking at Warnock, because he is someone who they think, one, can work with the board. He's shown that. Two, the fans, whilst they know mine, I don't know if everyone shares my view. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. But people won't turn on him, at least. Like, when he comes in, people won't turn against Warnock because of what he's done previously. So, like, the board, all they care about is the PR and the optics of it and just staying up. They don't care how. They just need to stay up. It's embarrassing, mate. There's just so, as always, just there's no plan. There's no.
It just seems like people are panicking there.
Yeah, of course they are. And actually, right, up until before the World Cup, we looked all right. We had a few injuries with big players or players who would give us a bit of creativity, a bit of goals and stuff. And then we just haven't got going since since the restart, really. We just don't look like scoring, and defensively we've been all right, but not great. And I think it was the Blackburn game that we lost 1-0, but it was deflected goal. And like, those little things go against you when you're not playing well. Sean Dyche, look, I think he'd be a great choice for what we need, but I just don't see him wanting to go there. Why would he want to come to Cardiff? Why would any manager want to come to Cardiff now? And even if they did, like, all right, can you just come in till the end of the season, keep us up, and then what fucking benefit is that to anyone? Like, what is it? Through 4 months till the end of the season? Who wants to uproot their life for 4 months, come down to South Wales to a place that's not exactly bouncing? It makes no sense. You're better, in my opinion, you'd be better off giving someone to help Hudson, because Hudson, I think, has got some good ideas. Having spoke to the man about his views on managerial stuff as well when he come down to the podcast, like, I think he's got some good ideas, and I think he can be a good manager, but he's got no experience at it now, and we're in a place now where we needed someone who was experienced, but not over that, not like a Mick McCarthy or whatever, or a Neil Warnock. But we also needed somebody who perhaps at least had a plan. Like, Michael Carrick, you mentioned, has gone into Middlesbrough, first job, but he's got a plan of how he wants his team to play. He brought in the staff he wanted straight away. There was no messing about, no, 6 weeks after his appointment, or bringing in this goalkeeping coach or this striking coach. They were all in there with him. And first day, he had everyone he wanted. This is how we're going to play. You're good enough. You're not. This player's coming in. You're leaving. Boom. Done in 3 weeks, whatever. He had it. And they were playing. They were like a different side almost instantly because he had a plan. The problem with Cardiff is we don't have a plan on the pitch, and we certainly don't have a plan off the pitch. I'm fucking sick of it. I can't talk about it anymore. I've had enough of them all. Fuck them.
Yeah, you need to get sorted quick, don't they?
It's like, what do you do? Like, just flitting back to the Premier League, I look at Everton, mate. They are rancid at the moment. Do you stick with Frank Lampard? Like, he's a young manager who has shown glimpses of being a good manager at Chelsea, glimpses of Derby, glimpses at Everton of being a good manager. But so often in all those jobs, he has a run of like 5, 6, 7, 8 games, which are just terrible. And I just think in 2023, clubs won't stand for that no more. Like, do you know what I mean? They if you have that run of 5 games of nothing happening, you're gone. And Everton have got rich owners, so why would they wait? It's very tricky, mate, to be a manager at the moment. I really think it's a thankless job because you you're never secure ever. Like I think there's probably 3 managers I could think of in the British football system who are completely secure in their jobs.
Who they?
Ten Hag, Klopp, and Pep. I would say maybe Arteta, maybe, but I would question if Arteta went on like. Although no, actually, I would say Arteta, and the reason I say that is because at the start of last season, Arsenal were rancid. They were bottom of the Premier League, but they stuck with him, and he came good. Now, does that mean?
Do you think that Amazon thing's helped him as well? Did he come across it?
He came across well in that, didn't he? He came across well in that, didn't he, Arteta? Like he could come, but it's like really, mate. Like if you say Cardiff are going to get rid of Hudson, in your opinion, one, should they get rid of him to avoid relegation? Because they're just above the relegation zone now. They're not in the relegation zone, and they're not like on the brink of it. They're let's have a look. They're 2 points ahead of the relegation zone. Their form is 4 draws and a loss the last 5 games. But the teams below them, their form is worse, apart from Huddersfield. So, there's no one really chasing them down. They're just all the shite teams that go into the bottom. Do you sack Hudson, mate? What do you think?
No, I wouldn't sack him, no.
I think
where are you the minute? 4th from bottom, 5th from bottom?
5th from 20th, 5th from bottom.
No, I would
2 points off. I
would leave it to there's about 10 games left to see where you're at there.
Yeah, I think
even then I wouldn't. But it depends, doesn't it? The panickers, aren't they?
Oh yeah, but if you can't give a club legend time, you can't give anyone time, can you?
You've got no chance, yeah.
But I agree with you. If you give it till 10 games to the end, like if he's still struggling with 10 games to go, you got to say to him, right, mate, really sorry. We have to make sure that we stay up, and then you bring in whoever, just someone to make sure they don't go down till the end of the season. Fine, because look, mate, the championship is wild, mate. Cardiff could go on a run now and win 5 games on the bounce. I don't think they will, but they could. Because the championship is such a random league, everybody can beat everyone, and you're only like a striker in form away from zipping up 6 or 7 places over the space of 4 or 5 games. And some of the players which Cardiff have got, like Isaac Davis and Robinson, Colwell, at different points in the last season or season before, have all looked pretty good creatively and going forward. But we haven't been able to get them fit or suspensions or whatever. Get a ball to him. Once, like Robinson, for instance, if he scores 1 goal, he might go on and score, go on strikers, mate, isn't it? Like, as soon as they score a couple, they look like 2 different players. But at the moment, Cardiff just can't score. So it's very difficult. I don't think Mark Hudson is necessarily... I'm not saying Mark Hudson, is the right man for Cardiff. I am just saying that sacking him now would just be embarrassing. I just don't see the logic behind it. Like, there's a long way to go, and the championship is strange. Give him... So what is it? How many games is there? 38?
No, there's more in the championship, isn't there? That's Premier League. I think it's 40.
24 teams. So what's 46, that? 46.
46, yeah.
So there's 46 games. They're only 26 in, mate. There's 20 games left. So you give Hudson another 10 games and see where he is.
That's 30 points. So you really want at least 15. Anything less than that.
And that 15 points out of 30, mate, would take them comfortably up into mid-table because they'd be beating teams around them. To me, I think that's the way to go. But, like another shit show. Today it was announced that Sean Morrison, former captain, he's been out with a serious knee injury since February 2022. he was on a pay-to-play contract while he recovered from injury. They've let him go today. And it's after he's been there 8.5 years, mate, club captain, just had a serious knee injury. Very, very good championship defender. And he's on a pay-as-you-play contract. Idiotic, mate. Idiotic.
Far too much on a relegation team in the championship.
They panic, mate, don't they? Though, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But you know why they panic? They don't understand football. Like the people who are making the decisions at the football club, they don't. And there's not one football person in that board.
There's a few of them like that.
They're bankers and businessmen, but they don't know anything about football. So there's no one to, when they're all saying, "Oh, should we bring Neil Warnock back because he did well for us 5 years ago?" Like, you know, he's only 72 or something. It's like there's no one who knows football saying, "Hang on a minute, there's 20 games to go. That's a lot of points to play for." Mark Hudson, he might not be doing well at the moment. The players like him. Let's give him a bit of time, and he's a young manager. Let's see how we go. No, let's bring in a 70-year-old back. You know, idiotic. But there we go. That's my rant, mate. You've upset me now talking about Cardiff. Fuck's sake. Oh, that's what I didn't ask you about. Jack Butland, mate, doing a medical at Manchester United.
Yeah.
I think that's cracking signing. I do.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah.
He's fit. Honest, mate.
Only 29 as well.
He was on the brink of being first choice for England after Joe Hart sort of capitulated. And then he fractured his ankle or knee or something, dislocated his knee on England duty. And apparently he's never been, I was speaking to a Palace fan earlier, he's never quite, not been the same, but like, he always looked a bit shaky since that injury. But they said every time he's come in for Palace, cup games and whatever, always looks solid, good keeper. And I think in this day and age, you need 3 keepers, don't you? Because I think actually Tom Heaton's a pretty good number 2.
Yeah.
But they need a 3rd keeper. And I think it's a good signing for free, and you know, can't go who's impressed you from the Premier League outside of what we talked about so far? Who's impressed you over the Christmas period?
Brighton, Brentford, again. Obviously Newcastle, but I'm a big fan of Eddie Howe, so I expected that. And Ten Hag as well. I expect him to do well, but after his start, he's handled it pretty well.
On the European front, Daley Blind has joined Bayern Munich on a free transfer.
Seen that today,
That's I think that's quite a clever signing, mate. Can play positions, experienced, good passer of the football.
Playing multiple positions. It's what you need to. Every team should have a Daley Blind. Can play multiple positions and still be an 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
7, 8 out of 10. Yeah,
spot on, mate. What do we make of some of these signings that Chelsea are throwing about? All sorts of money they're throwing around. They've signed that guy from Monaco, the defender, for 35 million. They signed that Fofana. It sounds like they're going to sign Fernandez. That Fernandez, mind, the young, the one who won the Young Player of the Year of the World Cup, Enzo Fernandez, is it? 106 million, mate, for a 19-year-old who's had one good World Cup. Arguably, I think did pretty well. But I mean, that is just unreal money, mate. What do you think Mbappe would probably go for 120, 130 million? That he is going to go for that. Like Mbappe.
Well, Mbappe won't go for that, would it?
But he's going to go for something.
Neymar got bought for like 200 mil.
Yeah, but I think the bubbles burst to a certain degree, haven't it? Now, like, there's not as many clubs about who will throw that cash around.
Someone's going to have to pay up to that to get Mbappe.
Is Mbappe out of contract soon, though? Like in the next couple of years, or did he sign a new contract?
I think he signed a new one.
Like, there's not many clubs who've got the money, is there? So
No.
You could see like 100 million and a player coming the other way, I guess. But I still think 105 million for a relatively unproven.
105 million euros, though. Was it pounds?
So he's got a release clause of 106 million pound. I think that's wild, mate. He's 21.
Yeah.
You know, look, won the World Cup, plays for Benfica. Is it a risk? I think it's a risk. Like, he's quite small, so you never know with those small players whether they're going to be adapt to the British game. I think it's a massive risk for me, but you know, what do I know? I haven't got that money to spend. So they signed him, they signed that defender. Like, they're throwing cash around, but they've got some work to do, mate. I think it's fair to say in the Premier League. Like, Chelsea, they haven't looked great this year, have they?
Say that again.
I said Chelsea, like, they're throwing that cash around, but they're down in 10th. Like, they're not, you know, they haven't been particularly great this year.
I just think you've had a new manager there that's just spent 200 odd million, brought his own players in, and then they've sacked him. You've brought another manager in, so that's got to find out who he wants to keep and who he doesn't, and so they're all, what's the word? It's just all jumbled up at the minute. But I think Chelsea are just in a process, but they can still give teams a game, like they showed in Man City. It's 0-0, and they've hit the post twice that I've seen. So, they'll come back, mate. But when they're spending the money that they are, they'll come back and they'll be thereabouts. It's just getting the right players. It's like bringing all these players in. You've got to bring the right players in. Because if you just bring in players in willy-nilly, they'll go back to where they was in the 90s, where they all had superstars. But, you know, they were a cup team. They weren't a week-in, week-out team. So just have to wait and see. But I'm sure they'll get it right. But it's like I say, it's tough. United are up there, Liverpool, Arsenal, City.
I can't see Chelsea making the top four, mate. Like, they're down in 10th and miles off.
Yeah, I don't. Not this year. No, I agree. Yeah.
So I forget who said it now. I heard it either on TV or on the radio. One pundit said that Graham Potter to Chelsea was a bad move for Graham Potter. Like, it wasn't the right fit for Graham Potter. Not that Graham Potter was the wrong choice for Chelsea.
I understand what he means there. I understand that.
Because I think he's doing such a good job at Brighton, mate, wasn't he? And, you know, it takes time, mate. They've got to stick with him. If they genuinely want Graham Potter to be a success at Chelsea manager, they've got to give him time. He spent the money now. Let him gel players.
I'm pretty sure they said they're not going to go down the route of the old owners where they're sacking managers left, right, and centre. I think they're going to give him time, unless he's really, really bad. But
did the new regime sack Tuchel, or did the old regime sack Tuchel?
No, it was the new one, wasn't it?
So that's what I mean. Like, they say they're not going to go down that route, but they kind of did, didn't they? They sacked the manager as soon as they come in.
Doesn't make sense. They just spent 200 million and sack him. So that tells you that they're picking the players and not the manager.
Well, yeah, that was the other conversation. It must have been Talk Sport in the car, I think. But, like, yeah, they were saying about Graham Potter and was it the right choice for him? But they also said there's no way in a million years that he is picking these players.
No,
someone above him.
That's a problem.
Yeah, if you historically look at any club in the world, mate.
Now, is he being told we're bringing this player in? Would you play? Blah, 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 then I'm sure that's happening. If it's not, then I'd be worried. Because they're bringing players going, yeah, we bought this. Here you go. Well, yeah, it's just not the right way of going about it.
Yeah, like, historically, it hasn't really worked a bit when there's
that kind of money. No.
When there's an executive bringing in the player saying, right, this is who we're signing. Like, you look at where it was Dennis Wise at Newcastle was signing all these players, and the manager didn't want him. It's happened. The only time I've seen it work, but I think I don't even think it's the same case, because I think they're a team, is the guy at Man City who was at Barca with Pep as well. I forget his name now. But I think they work as like a team, don't they? They come as a team from Barca and they work together as a unit to sign the players. It's like a committee or whatever. Whereas, Dennis Wise at Newcastle, it does seem at Chelsea now like there's someone there saying, no, we're signing this player. There you are. Do something with him, sort of thing. It's a weird one, mate. Guys, you got any questions? Get them in. You got about a couple of minutes. We're going to do our Super 6 predictions to finish. So this weekend is FA Cup weekend, mate. So,
my battery. Oh, I've got 6%.
Right, let's fly through them then. So we got Bournemouth versus Burnley at Bournemouth. I've got 2-1 Burnley. Go on the Championship.
Bournemouth 3-1.
Oof, interesting. Middlesbrough at Middlesbrough versus Brighton. I've gone 2-0 Middlesbrough.
2-1 Brighton.
Blackpool at home to Forest. 3-1 Forest for me.
Yeah, same.
Millwall at home to Sheffield United. All Championship. I've gone 2-2.
Millwall. 2-1.
Brentford at home to West Ham. 2-1 Brentford for me.
2-2.
And then finally, Liverpool versus Wolverhampton Wanderers at Liverpool. I've gone 3-2 to Liverpool. High scoring game.
Well, obviously you're not done your homework because Wolves don't score more than 2 goals.
I've watched the last 2 Wolves games, mate, and I've been very impressed with the new manager. So that's why
But I'll reiterate, they haven't scored more.
Score goals. Yeah, we'll see.
So 1-0 Liverpool.
1-0 to the Liverpool. Excellent, mate. As always, appreciate your time. Nice one to everyone who's watched and all that good stuff. We'll be back next week. Also, but look out for some clips and stuff which are going to be dropping over the next week. Got some new shows. There's a boxing show on Facebook on Sunday with Ben Doherty and former American boxer Michael Olajide Jr. I'm sure they might have a guest as well. So look out for that and all the rest. Until then, we bid you farewell. A nice one.
See you in a bit.
Wicked.
Giggs. Giggs. No. Rhodri.
10 toes down, I'll be free